Hey everyone, what's up? George here from the Millionaire Project. Welcome back to the channel. So for today's video, I want to make this pretty quick. Hopefully I could get this under 5 or so minutes, just getting straight to the point for you guys. So how do we chart SPY? How do we look at SPY? First of all, we watch SPY here. SPY is the S&P 500 ETF. So this is going to give you an overall gauge of what the market is doing. What is the overall market sentiment? So if we pull up a SPY chart, and you see that SPY is coming down, you could pretty much assume that the rest of the market, all these other companies are doing the same thing. Vice versa, if SPY is going up, you can assume that all these companies are going to be going up. So when you chart something, you always want to start off with a macro picture and then work your way down. So what I mean by this is you want to find the highs and the lows, plot those, and then get all the in-between. So if we do that here, you can see SPY has a high at 418.60, so we're going to plot this here as our main resistance point. Looking to the downside, we have a low of 380.54, so this is going to be our support. We now have a trading range, a wide trading range, but we are going to get all the in-between. 380.54 being our support and 418.60 being our resistance. So looking at the next resistance point here, you can see we have one right around this point, which is going to put us right around 416.27. So we're going to go ahead and plot that as our next resistance point that we're going to be looking at for us to break. Going from there, you can see we really don't have any other significant resistances that are going to keep us and pin us down. So for us to see more upside, we're going to need to make a move back up to this 416 level, break it, and come back up to test this high to potentially make new highs. Now, looking at the downside here, all these support points that we can possibly have, we have a main one right here that is where we also created a double bottom. So we're going to go ahead and plot this here at 407. So we have a double bottom at 407. This is a pretty strong support, and we also have a support here that we created last week on Friday at 410. So we're going to go ahead and plot this right here at 410 as well. So looking at this week, we need to hold 410. If we fail to hold 410, we're going to come down to this next resistance point of 407, which is where we created the double bottom like we said, and we are either going to bounce, creating a triple bottom that is going to give us some more sentiment that we may be bullish still to come back up to test this high. However, if we break below this 407 here, we're going to be looking at a new resistance point that we can come down to that is going to be 400. Or I'm sorry, a new support point that is going to be 400. 400 has been that psychological level on SPY that we've been bouncing from. We haven't been wanting to hold below it. Every time we come down, we usually bounce and hold above it. So if we break below 407, 400 is going to be the next significant support that we could come down to. Looking below that, we also have another support right here around 397.50-ish. So we're going to go ahead and plot that. 397.50 is the next level after we break 400. Below that, pretty much investor sentiment is going to be bearish, and we can consider panic selling to become a thing where we can come down to potentially test this 380 low here. For this week though, like we said, we're watching to see if we hold 410. If we can hold 410, we may bounce around this range. Looking at last week, you can see we really didn't do anything besides just trade around this 407 and 418.60 range, but the moves are pretty slow, so you can't really capitalize off of that. Looking ahead here at the week, Friday we have CPI numbers. So CPI is going to give you a gauge of inflation, how the economy is doing in regards to inflation. And this is something that investors are going to be keeping an eye on, and we are expecting a big move from it. So we're either going to trade in this range until Friday and either break below if investors do not like these numbers, or come back up to test this high and potentially make new highs towards 420 and above if investors do like CPI numbers. Something to note that I should have mentioned earlier is that if we look at this level here at 407 where we created this double bottom, if we break below it, this was acting as support. When we break below it, this support line now becomes a resistance again, and we have a new trading range. So anytime you break below a support point and hold below it, that support point will now become a resistance. Vice versa, when you break through a resistance point, this now becomes a support point for you to use. So if you break above this 418.60 here, this will now become a support point where we could see if we come back down to retest it and bounce to give us more bullish sentiment, or if we come back down to break below it and use these older levels that we had created. Hope this video gave you a little bit of insight and you managed to pick something up and that it helped. Give us a like and subscribe if you haven't, and we will see you guys next week.